Hello happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111. My beautiful friends, I've got 3 paths for you today, and we are asking what is happening in your connection, what is going down. This is a very thorough reading. We're looking at both yourself and your person and the connecting energies between you. So you can choose from the Lumina Tarot with twin quartz, the Starchild Tarot with this hexagon clear quartz, and the Hyde Tarot with Lemurian quartz. So take your time choosing, douse over them if you want. You can pause the video to do that. Check the timestamps in the comments. That's how I choose. I like to look at the number syncs and so forth, or just see which pile you're drawn to. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So let's do this. I'm going to move piles 2 and 3 out of the way. Now I do use 2 extra decks when I do these readings. So welcome pile 1, you've got the Lumina Tarot with clear quartz, and we're going to be using the Modern Witches Tarot deck for the Divine Masculine energies, and we are using the Magic Tarot for the connecting energies. So what I'm going to do, if you've not seen these readings before, we're going to look at the Divine Feminine energies on the left, the Divine Masculine feminine energies on the right, and the connecting energies down the centre, and we're looking at the current energies for each of you, how each of you are feeling and thinking about the other in the connection, and what's shifting for both of you. Now, I will use the gender pronouns she and he. She to refer for the Divine Feminine and he to refer for the Divine Masculine. But these are not gender-specific readings. It could be that you guys are he, she, he, she, whatever works for you. It's just easier for me when I'm channeling, rather than saying they, to make sure you can differentiate between which party I'm talking about. I'll refer to Divine Feminine as she, Divine Masculine as he. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to use, I think this is the Divine Animal Oracle to get a significator for each of you to begin with. If you're interested in what decks I'm using, you can find that information in the description box below. And most of these were gifts. Thank you so much, you guys. You really are so very generous, and it's so lovely to receive your gifts and your messages. If you would like to donate a tarot deck to help keep my readings fresh, it's not expected. There's no obligation whatsoever, but it is very much appreciated, and you can find a link to my Amazon wishlist in the description box below. Okay, let's do this. Right, so the Divine Feminine is coming out as the Lioness. And the Divine Masculine, we've got Wolverine, fierceness. So protection and fierceness. For the connecting energies, we have the Beaver, work. Right, so I'm going to put those to one side. Let's take the Divine Feminine cards out first. So this is the Lumina Tarot. Okay, so current energies for our Divine Feminine. The 6 of Cups. Page of Wands in reverse, and the 8 of Cups. How's she thinking of feeling in this connection? We'll take that one as it's flipped over. It's the 4 of Swords in reverse, the Wild in reverse, and the Knight of Swords in reverse. Okay, and what's shifting for the Divine Feminine? We have got the 5 of Cups in reverse, the Knight of Pentacles, and the 8 of Pentacles. Okay, let's get some cards for our Divine Masculine. This is the Modern Witch Tarot. If you're learning tarot actually and you don't like the images on the traditional Rider-Waite, this is a good alternative because it is a very traditional representation of the original Rider-Waite images, but they're a bit cooler. I really like them, they're lovely. Okay, Divine Masculine, what's his current energy? 7 of Cups, the 4 of Pentacles in reverse, and the 5 of Swords. How's he feeling and thinking in this connection? We've got the Sun, the Lovers, and the 10 of Swords in reverse. What's shifting for our Divine Masculine? Got the 3 of Cups in reverse, Death, and the moon in reverse. Right, let me just check these are all in shot. They are not. Okay, let's just adjust the camera. I'm actually going to move it back. Whoop. Sorry about that. Okay, that's better. You can kind of see them all now. Right, let's get some connecting energies here. So these will go down the center. And this is the Magic Tarot. We've got the Three of Cups in reverse, the Three of Pentacles in reverse, and the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so our Divine Feminine is in this Lioness energy. And in this deck, this is called Protection. It's the number 21, which also reduces to 3 the number of the Empress and Divine Feminine energy. So I do feel like at the moment, her energy is one of self-preservation as far as this connection is concerned. It feels like she's pulled back and she's trying very hard not to think about this connection. And even though this is empowering and she needs this time, I have to say that in effect, you know, this Divine Feminine is kind of running. They're avoiding and distracting themselves from this journey because it's been too painful. She is in this Six of Cups energy. Now, the Six of Cups is a beautiful card. It's the soulmate card. It's about making offers, you know, offers of love. But we can see that in this deck, there's this tangled web. There's a feather in there which represents hope. There's all these kind of bugs. And right at the center there is this butterfly which represents transformation. And the cups are around the outside of the card. So what I feel here is that even though there's been a level of acceptance, she's very much tangled up right now in her own transformation, her own journey of self-realization, that she's really not focused on making any offers. She's identified what this connection is. She understands there's a very soulful and deep connection, but she's still finding her way safely out of that web. There's a lot of confusion here, a lot of misunderstandings about what this journey means. We've also got the Page of Wands in reverse here. She is not taking action. She is not communicating. You know, she is holding back. And some of this holding back is connected to, you know, that runner-chaser energy. It's a push-pull energy. You know, she's pulling back primarily out of confusion and self-preservation, as we said here. But also underlying this, there's still that ego game at play. You know, that if I pull back, he might come forward. But we have got this Eight of Cups here as well. And the Eight of Cups is about that inner journey. You know, taking that time to be alone, to withdraw from the connection so that she can go inwards and really investigate her own emotional depths. Now, in this deck, as you can see, you know, the bridges kind of has this gap in it. And I do feel that this is representative of where she's at in the journey. You know, it's like she's facing this huge gulf, like where she needs to be seems so far away. So I do feel that this Divine Feminine is very frustrated. You know, she's trying her hardest to go within. She's trying her hardest to dig deep for the truth, but she just feels like she's falling short and that the journey ahead just seems so long. So there's a lot of frustration here. There's a lot of holding back. There's a lot of defensiveness, and there's a lot of avoidance. For the Divine Masculine, we've got the Wolverine, fierceness, and no surprise, the Five of Swords also comes up in his current energy. So again, this is someone that's, you know, on the defense and on the attack even. And given, you know, what we've seen happen here, this is possibly why our Divine Feminine has kind of stepped back and stepped away. There definitely appears to be some kind of conflict here. You know, the Five of Swords energy is very confrontational. And this person, you know, this Divine Masculine is weighing up his options. He's also in this energy of confusion, but he's not yet made the steps that she has to actually work at resolving it in his own mind. And he's refusing to let go. And I'm hearing there's harsh judgment here. You know, he really isn't understanding the emotional nature or depths of this connection. And with the Three of Cups here in reverse, it definitely feels like these two have, you know, perhaps stopped seeing one another. You know, for me, upright, this is a card of socializing, having fun, coming together, and it feels like both of them have rejected any kind of interactions and that they're both very much in their own energy. So it does feel like, you know, they've come out of some kind of conflict or storm, and that this is a period of separation or silence. And, you know, the masculine's still pretty angry, and the divine feminine is just completely shut down and is focusing on her own emotional growth. The connecting energy here is work. Now, it may be in a literal sense that you work with one another, or there is some connection through your work. But I'm feeling that for most of you, this is about working on yourselves. This is number 27, which reduces to 9. That's Hermit energy, Virgo energy, the power of solitude, independence, inner reflection, finding one's own light. And I feel like that's the energies that are generally surrounding this connection at the moment. Both of you are being triggered to go within. Both of you have been triggered to work on yourself. And it feels like the masculine is somewhat more resistance to this. You know, he's struggling to let go of a wounded pride, is what I'm hearing. In terms of how you're feeling about one another, again, for the divine feminine, she's really trying not to think about it. She knows this isn't over with the world in reverse, but she doesn't want to think about it. And she's certainly not taking any action or communicating. She doesn't feel it's her place to do so. You know, she has very much moved into that receptive feminine energy, which is like, you know, it's your job to come forward. You know, I'm not playing this game anymore. Even though there is an undercurrent of that in her energy, you know, she is now kind of stepping a bit more into her power and saying, I'm not chasing you anymore. Perhaps for the wrong reasons, but regardless, she is trying to detach. She's trying to not look in that mirror. She's trying to not think about this. This is a divine feminine that's exhausted. You know, she's had enough, and she just wants to focus on herself, her own journey. She's recognizing that there's nothing she can say or do to push this divine masculine further along the path. He has to find his own way there. So this is the energy of, you know, you're going to have to rise up and meet me, because I'm not sticking my neck out for you anymore. For the masculine, I mean, this is really positive for how he's feeling. We've got the Sun, the Lovers, and the Ten of Swords in reverse. And I do feel like, you know, overall, even though his pride is wounded and he's pretty angry, underneath all of that, there is this childlike innocence and purity in terms of his feelings. I'm just hearing that you make him feel like he's a kid again, and that frustrates him as well, because it's very intoxicating and very addictive. It could be that you guys are childhood sweethearts, or you've known each other a very long time, since childhood. But there's definitely a lovely energy here of warmth, of light. This person really feels the light of the divine feminine. But we've got another card here that represents choices with the Lovers. Now, of course, the Lovers is number 6. It is the card of unconditional love and union. But what's really interesting about this deck is that you can see that their hands don't quite meet. And even though they're both facing the light, it's dark. It's dark out there. And you see on the feminine side, it's all abundant and lush. On the masculine side, that tree is all barren. And they're not quite meeting in the middle. There is still a mountain, a gulf between them that both needs to climb. So what I'm seeing with this energy in terms of how he feels is that, you know, he sees the potential of this connection. He sees the deep truth and soulful nature of it. And he is facing that. He's committed to it. But right now he does feel like he needs to make choices to support his ascension. And he's not understanding where that is. You know, this is this confusion we see up here as well. He doesn't understand why this connection can feel so both gloriously warm and sunny and happy, and also on the flip side, so hard, confusing and painful. And with the Ten of Swords in reverse here, you know, he is kind of releasing that wounded pride and that kind of, this is betrayal energy, in fact. So whatever this conflict was about, he feels betrayed. He feels like it was him that was stabbed in the back. And he's just about letting go of that animosity and that hostility and that resentment is what I'm feeling. He's been holding on to resentment, and it's slowly beginning to dissipate. Now again, the connecting energies is the Three of Pentacles in reverse. And this, again, is the energy of not working together. You know, I said this work is very independent, is that both of them are feeling like, you know, this is something that they need to resolve within themselves independently. They don't want to work through this together at this stage. Both of them are feeling some kind of solace in this detachment and separation like it was needed. And remember, 1 and the 2 add up to the 3. So the 3 is really the bit in the middle, and it feels like that's what neither party is prepared to contribute to right now. Neither one of them is meeting the other halfway. They're both kind of keeping their distance. In terms of what's shifting for them, for the Divine Feminine, we've got the 5 of Cups in reverse. So I do see her releasing some of this really hard kind of disappointed energy that she's been clinging onto. Remember, she's in that 6 of Cups in her current energy, and I just feel her moving further away from this energy of disappointment, regret, frustration, and definitely grief. You know, she's grieved. With this Knight of Pentacles, we see her again being really slow and considered in taking action. This is a period of planning, reflection, really looking at all of the options and deciding how to move forward in a very measured and tempered way. This isn't a Divine Feminine that's reacting impulsively. You know, like the Lioness, you know, she's very careful, very considered. She takes her time, like the Lioness stalks her prey. Not that she's stalking this guy, but, you know, that she's not going to make any rash decisions. She's now moving into this energy of stillness, where she's able to ground and perceive this connection from a much more stable and grounded perspective. We've also got the 8 of Pentacles. Now, this is really powerful because of this connecting energy about doing the work. And you can see here that this card features this moth. Now, remember, a moth is drawn out of the dark towards the light. And the 8 of Pentacles is all about working diligently. And I do feel that this Divine Feminine has finally moved into this kind of the early stages of surrender and acceptance, where she's finally recognizing that the only way she's going to get through this journey, the only way she's going to get what she wants, is by working on herself, by, you know, taking control of her part of this journey. And it's almost like she's beginning to feel empowered by that option. She's beginning to recognize that this is where her true power resides. You know, it's in taking care of herself, taking care of her half of the bargain. Now, the masculine, we've got this 3 of Cups in reverse again. So I do feel like for him, you know, he's not going to be rushing forward and trying to engage in, you know, social pleasantries or communication either. He's in this death energy, which is transformation. This is the rising of the phoenix. This is someone that's really shifting in a very powerful way, moving away from old cycles and patterns that don't serve him, and moving into this energy of positive change, transformation, transition, moving towards the light. Indeed, we can see in the background here where his target and goal is. It's those 2 pillars through which he reaches the light and connects with the light. You see all of these people pleading with him as he moves forward. So it really does feel like the Divine Masculine is going through a powerful, powerful shift and change. They are moving out of the darkness, moving towards the light. Now, with the Moon in reverse, this does indicate that this isn't going to be the easiest time for him. The Moon in reverse can indicate that dark night of the soul, depression, anxiety, a tremendous amount of uncertainty. Upright, this card is about trust. And the Moon asks us to trust those steps forward, even though they're into the dark and we can't see where we're going. The Moon only lights a small amount of our path. You know, when you walk in the dark and your eyes adjust and you can see just what's ahead of you and where you're going, but you can't see beyond that. And so the Moon is about that trusting our intuition to guide us in the right direction, even though it's into the unknown, trusting that the unknown is going to be okay and serve us. So he's definitely going through a period of not feeling that certainty. You know, we see him shifting into this energy of transformation and then perhaps finding himself somewhat confused, somewhat lost, and somewhat apprehensive and nervous about where this journey is going to lead him. So, you know, for the Divine Feminine, there's really a need here to acknowledge and honour this aspect of his journey and to lovingly allow him the space to work through it. It definitely appears that this separation right now is, I think even though the Divine Feminine wants the masculine to come forward, both of them are happy to reside in this space of solitude and to kind of leave the other to their own growth. The connecting energy here is the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, which is interesting because this was upright for the Divine Feminine. And for me, this is about, again, neither one of them is prepared to work it out with each other. They're working on themselves. They're facing their own shadow aspects. And, they're leaving either counterpart to do the same for themselves. So it definitely feels like, whatever's happened between you, whatever water is under the bridge, it's all being transmuted, and both of you are moving in the direction of your own healing, especially the Divine Feminine, who seems to have a great deal more awareness of where she needs to go and has moved into this energy of self-empowerment and much less impulsive action, which I feel is where she was before. This is this Knight of Swords in reverse, which she's blocked now. She knows this isn't over, but she's not chasing anymore. And I feel like previously she may have chased quite aggressively, desperately trying to love this person enough so that they would love her back. And it feels like she's realised that's futile now, that's not going to serve her. It's not going to serve the connection. And so she's working at bringing herself into balance, bringing herself to a point of stillness. So I'm going to get some guidance cards for both of you before I take this over to the extended. In the extended, we're going to take a deeper look at how each person's thinking and feeling, their intentions. We're going to get some more information about what's going to shift in this connection, and definitely some more guidance cards. So very similar reading to this one. We're just going to go a bit deeper. So if this has resonated for you, you can find the link to that in the description box below. But let's get some guidance cards. This is for both of you. In fact, I'm going to get one from each deck as well as a connecting energy. Okay. So for the Divine Feminine, we've got the Hanged Man. For the Divine Masculine, we've got the Three of Wands. And for the Divine Feminine, for the connecting energy even. Oh, two came out here, so I'm going to keep them both. We've got the Hierophant in reverse and the Eight of Swords. So, Divine Feminine, you're being asked to surrender and to surrender again and to surrender some more after that. The Hangman is about shifting your perspective. For me, it's also the pre-awakening card. It's that moment when we realise that there is more and that we need to broaden our perspective and our horizons. In this deck, it's he's got that infinity number 8 above his head, and he's contained within a ring, which is actually how twin flame energy is connected. So it does feel like, you're being asked to surrender, and also to recognise that surrender is a stage of infinite healing. It's an ongoing process. So if there's any frustration here surrounding I've already surrendered. How long is this going to take? I've already healed. Your awareness has been drawn to the infinite nature of these cycles. And the message is surrender some more. Keep surrendering. Keep looking from that higher perspective. And also there's a message here to recognize that not everyone around you can see from this perspective. Your ability to hang here, to surrender and accept and to see things from this enlightened point of view is unique to you. You've got to recognize that not everyone is able to get into that stream of consciousness or that energy. We've got Neptune's fork here as well, which symbolizes to me the emotional nature of this process of discovery that you're going through, and that's where your focus needs to be. For sure, it's on your emotional body. These are where the wounds are that are still holding you back. For the Divine Masculine, we've got the Three of Wands. And for me, the Three of Wands is about fulfillment. It's about waiting for your ships to come in. Having already made the decision in the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands is now about enjoying all of the rewards reaped from, the seeds that you sowed previously. So I do feel with this Three of Wands energy that the masculine's being asked to recognize how far he's come. that his decisions are leading him towards fulfillment, and those ships will come in. He's also being asked to kind of balance his feminine energies and to connect with his emotional and spiritual nature. And it's recognizing as well that these rewards are of an emotional nature, that his ability to move forward now relies on his recognition of how those emotional depths can be a gift. You know, that I feel like previously he shied away from his own emotional self. It's made him feel vulnerable. It's not something he's comfortable doing, or an energy he's comfortable being in. And so he's being asked to reconsider. He's being asked to see the emotional depths as a gift rather than as something to protect himself from and to run away from. The connecting energies are really interesting. You know, we've got the Hierophant in reverse and we've got the Eight of Swords. Now, the Hierophant in reverse is indicative of this being a cycle of learning, higher wisdom, seeking guidance, studying, teaching and learning, and that there's a blockage here, that both parties are missing something. Now, I'm hearing for the Divine Feminine that she needs to take her research to the development stage now. You've read so much, you've asked so many questions externally, you've learned so much about what this journey means, but now is the time to take action, to allow this cycle and this transition to pass, to move into it, you know, with humility, to surrender to it, to surrender to what the light is trying to teach you. There's definitely a need here to connect with your higher guidance and to stop looking for answers externally. Yeah, it feels like you may have been referring to people that are more experienced than you, or perhaps in a position of authority. This could even refer to readings like this. And in reality, when you're asking these questions of others, they're not telling you anything you don't already know. They're just reaffirming the same messages, and you're being asked to integrate those now so that you can take that next step. For the masculine, he just has to open up to this energy of learning. I feel like he's a few steps behind the Divine Feminine, you know, but for him, it's about opening up to learning, opening up to this energy of things being different, and, you know, moving into this energy of switching perspectives. I've not coughed all day, so a tickly throat there. I feel like he's got a very blocked throat chakra. So a big part of this learning for him is actually learning to ask questions, to express himself authentically, and to get answers in return. The Eight of Swords for both of you is reminding you to get out of your head. It's reminding you how all of that old programming and conditioning from childhood and your previous relationships is still interfering with the flow of energy between you. You need to get out of your heads. You need to stop seeing one another and this connection through the lenses of trauma that still remain within your ego self. You've got to start trying to rise above it, to see past it, and to release yourself from those binds. You know, these are really unhealthy, very limiting self-beliefs that you hold, not just about self, but about life in general. And you're both being asked to rise above that, to recognize that, you know, neither one of you is a reflection of the pain you've already experienced. You know, you're teaching each other about that, but you're not actually bringing that pain. These are just triggers that both of you and your energy is designed to bring, you know, to literally bring forward so that you can heal. So it's about not taking the stuff that's happened between you two personally and recognizing it's part of your growth. And when these triggers come, your job is to get out of the way and to observe them from a place of stillness rather than being bound by them and wrapped up in your head. So I really hope that helped, part one. Again, if this resonated and you'd like to join me in the extended, you can find a link to that in the description box below and by the timestamps. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. Please do hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. It really does help my channel to grow. Hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram at happysouls1111. And you can also check me out in my networking and support group for twin flames and ascending souls. If you need any support on this journey or a friendly ear, there are so many happy souls over there just waiting to lend you a helping hand, and you can find a link to that Facebook group in the description box below. I'll see you guys next time. Lots of love. Bye bye. Hello, part two. Right, let's do this. How is your person? What is happening in your connection to your person? Now, these readings, I will be using multiple decks. We've got the Starchild Tarot, which you chose. This is for the Divine Feminine energies. We're going to use the Modern Witch Tarot for the Divine Masculine energies. And we're going to use the Magic Tarot for the connecting energies. So I'm going to look at the Divine Feminine energies on the left, the Divine Masculine on the right, the connecting energies down the centre. And we're looking at their current energy, how they're thinking and feeling about one another in the connection, and what's shifting for them. Now, I will use the gender pronouns she and he. She for Divine Feminine, he for Divine Masculine. But these aren't gender specific readings. It could just be he, she, or he, or she. So just adjust them as you see fit. It's easier for me when I'm channeling and reading to just have a specific for each one so as not to confuse the two energies. So again, there's nothing personal. It's not gender specific, but just for the ease of me reading, we're going to refer to DF as she and Divine Masculine as he. So I'm going to use these Divine Animal Oracle cards first to get a significator for each party and the connecting energies. So let's have a see what we've got. For the Divine Feminine, we've got the Fruit Bat or the Flying Fox. For the Masculine, we've got the Chameleon or Change. And the connecting energy is Dog, which is companionship. So let's get some cards for our Divine Feminine. This is the Starchild Tarot. Okay, what's the current energies for our Divine Feminine? We've got Starseed, and this is actually the Fool. We've got the Seven of Wands. And we've got the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. How's she thinking and feeling about this connection? We've got the Six of Wands in reverse. We've got the Sun in reverse. And we've got the Four of Swords in reverse. And what's shifting for this Divine Feminine? We've got Akashic Records. This is number 22. It's an extra card in this deck. We've got Queen of Pentacles or crystals as it is in this deck. And we've got the Tower in reverse. Right, let's get some cards out for our masculine from the Modern Witch Tarot. If you're interested in which decks I'm using, you can find them in the description box below. So, current energies for the Divine Masculine. 10 of Cups. King of Cups in reverse. And the Knight of Cups in reverse. And how's he currently feeling about his counterpart in this connection? The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. The Six of Pentacles. And the Five of Cups. And what's shifting for our Divine Masculine? Two of Wands in reverse. Chariot in reverse. And the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so let's see what's in the connecting energies. And then I will adjust the camera just to make sure you can see all of them. Right. Oh, that's not actually a card. Let's take that one out. Right, we've got the Knight of Wands in reverse. We've got the Two of Cups in reverse. And we've got the Three of Swords in reverse. Interesting. Let me just check that you can see them all. I'm just going to move them down a touch. That's it. Okay. So, our Divine Feminine is in this energy of kindness, the Fruit Bat or Flying Fox. And this is a Divine Feminine card as well. It's number 12, which is also the number of the Hanged Man and surrender. It's also then reduced to 3. It's the number of the Empress and Divine Feminine energy. And what I'm feeling about this card is that our Divine Feminine, this Divine Feminine is quite healed. You know, she's really operating from her heart space. She's operating from a place of compassion and kindness, and she's offering that support to her Divine Masculine, who is in the process of surrendering. We see this bat much like the hangman hanging down from this branch to greet her, reaching out his wings. There is a deep connection here. And this divine feminine, with all of her abundance, all of her stability, connected to her emotional depths here, she is really creating. You can see how I'm going to bring this card closer to you because it really is quite beautiful. She is creating a safe space. And you can see here the boats coming in. There's the stability of these 3 pillars, again representing the divine feminine energy. They're grounded in the earth. And you can see that there's this portal. Outside of that, there's this storm, and she's bringing her divine masculine into this safe space and showing him compassion. And as I said, it's called kindness. So this is a really beautiful energy. I feel like this divine feminine, she has healed herself, and with the Fool here, recognized as starseed in this deck, she is ready for that new beginning. And you can see she's holding this light, she's channeling this light. And there is actually a person here which she seems to be channeling it too. So for me, this is a divine feminine that has really found her way forward. And she is approaching her masculine from this energy of kindness and compassion. With the 7 of Wands here, though, she is feeling somewhat defensive. I feel like this is because she can't see what's on the horizon. She knows she's heading toward love. We've got the 6 wands represented here, 6 being the number of unconditional love. And she can see the light, but there is some uncertainty. She can't see what's coming. Now she has her tiger with her here. This is a very determined energy, and she is grasping the wand. But she is kind of just behind the periphery, and she's not able to see what's coming. And this does make her a little bit uncertain, a little bit defensive. And with the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, she's trying not to invest her hope too much in the potential outcome of this. She's trying not to get too invested so that she's not going to be disappointed. So it does feel like she's tentatively seeing that this is a new beginning. She's recognizing this is a new start and that things have shifted. She's bringing her masculine into this safe space, into this space of healing, love and compassion. But she's also somewhat apprehensive, somewhat uncertain, trying not to get ahead of herself, trying not to have too many expectations, just trying to stay in this very calm and loving energy. And our divine masculine, now this is a powerful card for him. It's a number 33, which reduces to 6, the number of unconditional love. And we have the chameleon represented here, representing change here. So this is a period of massive transition for him. And you can see that this is supported by this divine feminine energy. And I'm guided that, with the fact that this is yellow, this is very triggering energy. You can see there's a lot of activity going on around here, but he's in his heart space. This is where I'm feeling that shift has been for him. This is a heart awakening. Again, being a number 6, the number of unconditional love, but he doesn't feel grounded in it. He's clinging onto this branch for dear life with all of that stability in the distance behind him. So he's in a period of transition and change, which is, quite, I guess, unstable for him. It doesn't yet feel safe. Now, the connecting energy is the dog, and it's called companionship here. This is a really beautiful energy. This is the energy of friendship and support. And we can see here this person with their bow and arrow, they have the focus. They know exactly where they need to go. And they're here with that dog, and they're not quite, this is very reminiscent of the Fool energy of taking that leap of faith. But right now they're quite happy to kind of stand still. And I believe that we actually see the form or the outline of a dog here as this cliff. There's the eye and the kind of nose, and they're getting grounded. It feels like right now this connection is based in friendship. There may be a very platonic energy moving between you, because it feels like the divine masculine is going through a period of intense transition and healing, and both parties have dropped any romantic expectations and are instead focused on loyalty and companionship and togetherness through friendship. And for the divine masculine, he is feeling that. He's recognizing this beautiful energy that his divine feminine is being brought into, and he's feeling very loved and very supported, and he's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. He's seeing what he wants, and it is togetherness. This really is a beautiful beginning for them. However, what's really interesting about this is, as I said, it's in this very platonic energy, regardless of this being what he wants. With the Knight of Cups in reverse, he's not able to express that. He's not taking romantic action. And with the King of Cups in reverse, it's because he is emotionally overwhelmed. This heart awakening has been very intense, and he needs time to balance and integrate his emotions. He's not feeling himself. He's not yet feeling safe or stable enough to express himself. So even though, underneath all of this, he is very much rooted in this happily ever after, and seeing that as being an option and potential goal for himself now, it does feel like he's unable to express himself romantically or to take action towards making that happen. It feels like both parties are just trying to remain calm and still, and not to premeditate where this connection is going. And again, we see with this Knight of Wands in the reverse, no one really taking any aggressive action towards the other. There's no passion here at the moment. It feels very calm, very stable, and like both parties are just focused on friendship rather than flirtiness. So how are they feeling about one another? I feel like this is very revealing for the divine feminine in particular, because, with the Six of Wands in reverse, she's just not sure where this is going. And again, this defensiveness, this uncertainty, even though she's very surrendered, she's very healed, she is finding that now this energy has moved into, now that it's shifted and she sees her masculine changing and his heart opening and him coming towards her, she can feel this energy of togetherness. But because he's not taking action, it does kind of bring up those old fears, the fear of loss, the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment. And she's not entirely sure that she's going to be victorious in this. She's again trying really hard not to premeditate, not to anticipate victory, because she doesn't know if it's going to be hers. And the same here with this Sun in reverse. She can see the light, but the path forward is not illuminated. There is stuff that she can't see, that she can't feel, and this kind of takes the edge off her joy. And she's trying really hard not to think about it. She's trying really hard just to stay in this place of comfort, peace, abundance, balance, being grounded, stability. She's trying not to allow her heart to run away with herself. So she does feel very vulnerable. And I feel like she's very surprised at how vulnerable she feels. She would have thought that with her masculine appearing to wake up, appearing to open his heart space, appearing to move in the right direction and finally embrace this possible togetherness, that she would feel better about the connection. But actually, when we get what we want, we then have to face our fear of losing it. And this is what's happening with this divine feminine here. The masculine, we've got this Wheel of Fortune card. I feel like sometimes he questions if this is really for him. Is this really my destiny? He wants to believe it is. He wants to believe in the happy ever after and the union energies. But I do feel like, with this Five of Cups, he's still very much focused on some previous heartbreak. We've got these 3 spilled cups here. All this water under the bridge, that stability so far in the different distance, and this beautiful new relationship between you that is presenting here, he still has his back to. He's still not able to fully turn and face it, because there's still a lot of pain that he's trying to transcend here. And so this causes him to question the divinity of this connection. Is it really my destiny and fate to be with this person? Could I really be that lucky? But he does have these big feelings. He's just very distracted. And I feel like there's a lot of fear here as well, that he can't give as much. I'm hearing this, how do I ever pay you back? You've appeared with your hands so full of gifts, and I feel like I have nothing to offer you. So he's very worried that he doesn't have enough to give back. I do feel like he puts his divine feminine on a pedestal, and he doesn't see himself worthy of the gifts that have been presented to him, and he's uncertain of how he can rise up and meet that energy and match it, with the kind of equal level of reciprocity he knows that she deserves. And again, that connecting energy is the Two of Cups in reverse. Both parties know that a relationship isn't where this is heading right now. Neither one of them wants it. For the Divine Feminine, there is this awareness that he's healing, and she wants to be there for him. She wants to be his companion, his friend, his support. And the masculine, as I said, he's too focused on these 3 spilt cups. So neither one of them is pursuing a romantic relationship right now. It feels like they've got themselves into a nice, comfortable flow of just being friends and, of just being there for one another in the best way they can be. In terms of what's shifting, for the Divine Feminine, this is really interesting. This is Akashic Records. And what I feel really strongly, as I said, this is a Divine Feminine that's healed. She's surrendered. She's gone through a lot. But for me, this now is about looking at the ancestral patterns and karma and the ancestral trauma and past life trauma that is actually now bringing up these fears. Because I feel like this Divine Feminine is in the energy of, I really thought I'd healed from this abandonment pain and fear. Where is this coming from? And for me, this is guiding you towards the Akashic Records, towards your own soul's memory and timelines, to recognize that, there are more answers when you start to go deeper with your spiritual self. It's really interesting that for the Divine Feminine here, we've got the Queen of Pentacles upright, and for the masculine, it's the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And I feel like this is saying to the feminine, this is about you now. And again, she's got this tiger with her. Yeah, the moon, or her intuition behind her, and she's holding this green sphere, green representing the colour of love. She's got all of these crystals with her. She's got her own world in her hands. Her heart is in her own hands. This is someone who's accountable for her own joy, her own self-love and her own happiness. And this is a guidance to keep grounding that energy, to stay driven, focused and determined on being all that you can be. And, really enjoying that independent, abundant self-fulfillment and love that you create for yourself. I feel like the Tower in reverse in this instance is reassuring you. There isn't going to be any more major upheaval. The divine plan is flowing how it's meant to be. You don't need to fear that everything's going to come crashing down again. That's how I'm reading that for you guys. I really feel like this is a reassurance rather than a literal circumstance that's approaching. This is about the Divine Feminine moving into the energy of trust and recognizing that it's safe to love, it's safe to proceed, and it's going to be okay. The Divine Masculine isn't going to be making any decisions anytime soon, although I do feel like making a decision is on his mind. The Two of Wands upright is about making that choice. But it feels like with this being reversed, that he's still going to be struggling with this energy of indecision because he's still healing. And again, we've got 3 of Swords in reverse here. He's not able to make a decision about this connection other than to stay in this energy of companionship and, togetherness through that platonic support. He doesn't want to align with the divine plan. Again, we've got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. I do feel like this masculine is actually quite intimidated by the spiritual nature of this connection, and there is some resistance there. This is him kind of not making decisions, not coming forward, and, certainly not finding the energy or the strength to offer the Divine Feminine what's being offered to him. He feels that's what he needs and wants to do. But really, I guess this guidance is more for the Divine Feminine to recognize that, he's not yet able to give you that. He wants to. He sees this potential happy ever after with you, but he is going through this period of healing. And certainly in the coming days, there aren't going to be any major shifts there for him because he's still dwelling in this energy of indecision and in confusion, not being able to align himself with that flow of spiritual energy and the divine plan, and still feeling like he can't take care of himself or you. And with the 3 of Swords in reverse as the connecting energy, this is very revealing. You're being asked to trust that you're both you're working through fear as well, Divine Feminine, that you're both working through this heart pain. You're both working through that fear and trauma pain, the betrayal pain, the abandonment pain. You know, this is a cycle that's still in motion in your connection. You may both be experiencing it at different levels, but it is prevalent for both of you. Now, I'm going to take this to extended, but before I do that, I'm going to get you some guidance cards for each of you. And in the extended, we're going to take a deeper look. We're going to pretty much do the same spread. We're going to get a deeper look at feelings, thoughts, for one another. We're going to take a look at what your intentions are and get some deeper guidance. But let's just get some guidance cards for you now before we take it over there. So for the Divine Feminine, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. For the Masculine, we've got the Moon. Wow. And for the connecting energy, we've got the Two of Swords. So Divine Feminine, for the Ace of Pentacles to come out for you, you know, this is asking you to trust. This is a new beginning, but it is a beginning. You're at the beginning of a new chapter in your journey, and you can trust this forward movement now. You know, this time the energy is grounded. You've grounded the energy, as we've seen here, and he is now coming towards you. So, you know, for me, the Ace of Pentacles is saying, receive this gift from Spirit. You know, allow yourself to embrace and embody these new energies of this new beginning, and trust that it is grounded, it's real this time. No one's going to run, and no one's going to hide. It feels like there is a commitment now to work through this together, to work towards that unity. Your person wants that too. But you're going to have to be patient. You have to recognize that whilst this is a new beginning, it's the beginning of a new chapter. It's going to take time to work your way towards that 10 of Pentacles or this 10 of Cups energy. But you need to trust now. And the message for the masculine is the same. The Moon is all about trust. It's all about intuition, trusting the steps in the dark. It's about him stepping out of those dark emotional depths that have kept him so stuck and taking this new path. Even though it feels scary and he can't always see where he's going, he's being asked to trust as well, to trust in his own intuition, to trust that what he feels about the fated and destined nature of this connection is true, and that so long as he's listening to his own higher instinct, he is moving in the right direction. In your indecision, you're still going to stay together. Look at this. The Two of Swords is about massive indecision, but here it's represented as two hands holding on to one another. Each of you separately knows the truth, and you can come together in truth. Just because there's indecision and in a conflict here, just because neither of you are ready, doesn't mean that you can't work through this together. And what's really come through very strongly in this reading, and it really is quite beautiful, is that, as I said, there is a commitment now from both sides of the fence to work through this together in friendship, in companionship, mutual love and mutual respect. You know, your person, this divine masculine, he's not equipped to be himself, to give you what you need, but he recognizes the need to do that now. He's identified, he wants to do it. He just doesn't yet know how. He hasn't got the strength and energy that you have because he's still grieving. So I really hope that helps. I'm going to take this over to the extended. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you do want to watch the extended, you can find a link in the description box below and down by the timestamps. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. It helps my channel to grow, and I really, really appreciate that. Leave a comment, let me know what pile you chose. It helps you to remember which pile you've watched as well, because they are timeless readings, and there could be another pile that's suited to you later. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram. I do mini readings over there. You can find me at Happy Souls 1111. And if you would like support on this journey, you can come and join us over on the Facebook group, where there's a ton of other twins and happy souls just waiting to offer you a friendly ear. You can find a link to that in the description box below. See you next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. Oh, pardon me. You have chosen the Hyde Tarot with Lemurian Quartz, and we're asking today what's happening in your connection. This is a very detailed look at what's going on with your person and with you. We're going to look at the divine feminine energies on the left with the deck you chose. We're going to use a second deck for the divine masculine energies. This is the Modern Witch Tarot. And we're going to use a third deck to look at the connecting energies down the centre. So it will be divine feminine energies on the left, divine masculine on the right, connecting energies down the centre. And we're looking at the current energies between you, how you're thinking and feeling about one another, and what's shifting. And then we'll pull some guidance cards. Now, for the purpose of this reading, because I am discussing both parties at the same time, I am going to use the gender pronouns she and he. The readings aren't gender specific, so in your case it might be she, he, whatever works for you. But when I'm channeling and reading, it just helps me to discern the difference between the one and the other by using the gender pronouns she for divine feminine, he for divine masculine. So please just adjust it as you see fit. So let's get started. I'm going to use the Divine Animals Oracle to get a significator for each counterpart first, and one for the connecting energies. So for our Divine Feminine, we've got Rhinoceros, Moderation. For our Divine Masculine, we've got the Jackal, Truth. And for the Divine Feminine, for the connecting energies, we've got Tarantula, which is connection. Okay, so let's start by getting some cards out for our Divine Feminine energy. So this is the High Tarot. This was actually created by a friend of mine and was successfully funded on Kickstarter. You can find a link to his Instagram on the description box below if you would like to buy one of these decks. They're actually very, very cool. My daughter and some of her other friends are featured in them, which is really lovely. Yeah, he's a very beautiful, beautiful person and a very talented artist. So it's a beautiful deck. Right, Divine Feminine, what are her current energies? We have got the Seven of Wands in reverse. It's called the Amulet in this deck. We've got the World, which is the Stag in this deck. And the Knight of Cups, which is represented as the Wolf. And how she's thinking and feeling about this connection. We've got Temperance in reverse, or the Bell. We've got Strength, represented by the Tree. We've got the Angel, or the Star. And what's shifting for this Divine Feminine? The Queen of Pentacles, represented by the Fruit. The High Priestess in reverse, represented by the Dog. And Judgment, represented by the Peacock. All right, let's get some cards for the Divine Masculine. This is the Modern Witch Tarot. If you're interested in what decks I'm using, you can find them in the description box below. And whilst I'm shuffling, don't forget to check me out on Instagram. You can find me there at HappySouls1111, or hop on over to my Facebook group, which is purely for support and networking for twin flames and ascending souls. If you're struggling on this journey or you just want to meet some like-minded people, we're all there for you. You can find a link to both in the description box below. Okay, so Divine Masculine, what's his current energies? Four of Swords. The Four of Wands in reverse. And the Four of Pentacles, goodness me. And we've got two fours here as well, look. That's a number, this is also a number 44 card. So that's a lot of masculine energy there. How's he thinking and feeling? We've got Death in reverse. We've got the Queen of Wands. And we have got Judgment. And what's shifting for this Divine Masculine? Three of Wands in reverse. Ace of Swords in reverse. And Temperance. So a lot of similar cards come out on both sides here, just in different positions. What's the connecting energies to these two? We have got the Nine of Pentacles, the Five of Swords in reverse, and the Four of Cups in reverse. Okay, let me just check that they're all in shot. I'm just going to move it down a touch. There you go, you can kind of see them all, can't you? Okay, great stuff. So our Divine Feminine is coming out as the Rhinoceros energy. This is the energy of moderation, and we can see here it's a number 32, which reduces to 5, the number of transition, change and higher learning. And she very much is right now really focused on her spiritual journey is what I'm hearing. But I'm also hearing that it's at the beginning of that space for her. Not that she's at the beginning of her journey, but she's just really beginning to connect with that higher guidance, that higher learning, the spiritual nature and truth behind this connection. There's something very stable and grounded about this energy as well. Now, we've got the Seven of Wands in reverse, and I feel like connecting with this higher truth is what's allowed her to let her guard down, to let her boundaries down. She's holding this amulet here, which is actually a sword, and it really reminds me of dowsing or dowsing for truth. But it feels like she's been on a truth-seeking mission, and this has brought her a great deal of comfort, a great deal of acceptance. It's brought her full cycle. She's now feeling a bit more in control. I do feel like she is in quite strong masculine energy. We've got the stag out here. But there has been the completion of some kind of really painful cycle. This is her having brought her life back into control. She's brought some stability back to her own emotional and mental state, is what I'm hearing. We've got the Knight of Cups here as well, which is very generous, very giving. This is about really communicating and demonstrating her love to her counterpart. And with the wolf here, we see them howling at the moon. And so I feel like a lot of this communication may in fact be focused on the astral or plane, or the telepathic connection between them. But she is definitely in the very forthcoming, very expressive energy right now as far as her masculine is concerned. The masculine, this is the energy of truth, and the jackal, again, there's a whole stellium of fours here, and even though this is 44, of course it does add up to the number 8, the number of infinity, and a very twin flamey number as well. And I do feel like this masculine has had a sudden awakening, a sudden truth, realization and awareness of what this connection means and what it is. And whilst he's found some stability and comfort in that, I am also hearing that it's very, very overwhelming for him. And indeed, the connecting energy here, which is tarantula, it's called connection, but we see this person tangled up in a web. This is someone that's, clutching at growth, clutching at the truth, but they feel very much trapped and tangled up in this web of information that's suddenly been come forward. And of course, this is called connection. So I do feel like there's been, some dramatic shift which has allowed truth to be brought to the surface in this connection. And it's probably instigated by the divine feminine, as we see through this offers and expressions, her letting her guard down, her taking control, and being in this very spiritual place of kind of learning and development. But yeah, the masculine is really thinking deeply about this. With this Four of Swords, I'm hearing he thinks of nothing else. But with this Four of Wands in reverse, he's not quite ready to face the truth of it. The truth is overwhelming for him. He's still being triggered by all of those layers of intimacy avoidance, and he's just not prepared to let himself go. The Four of Pentacles is about holding back, clinging on. And of course, that Four of Wands is a twin flamey card. And that's blocked, that energy is blocked. He's not able, even though he mentally has understood and integrated that at an emotional and spiritual level, there's a lack of acceptance there at the moment, and an ability to let go of himself and really open his heart to that knowing. And again, we've got the Nine of Pentacles here. This is the energy of independence and self-fulfillment. I think it's interesting how this UFO kind of brings all of these supernatural pentacles to the ground. All of this information, this spiritual information being grounded in the earth's plane. But it is a very independent energy. I feel like it's definitely been a bit too intense, the masculine, and he's really trying very hard to stay grounded, to stay stable in the face of these revelations. He's very uncertain. He's very unsure, but he's also giving it a tremendous amount of thought. So there could be a separation here. It could be that this outpouring of love, expression and truth from the divine feminine, now that she's let her guard down and taken control, could have been somewhat overwhelming for him. And with this Nine of Pentacles here, this does indicate that, whilst they're both processing this independently, that there's not a great deal of activity in literal terms in that middle bit. They're not actually connecting and coming together to discuss this. So it does feel like they may be taking a break from that due to the intensity. How is our divine feminine feeling and thinking about this connection? Well, we've got Temperance in reverse, and it's represented here by the bell. Again, there's 4 stars here, which can represent higher knowing, wishes, balance, harmony and stability. But I feel like with Temperance being in reverse, she's feeling a bit uncertain. After all this courage and brevity that she's shown in coming forward and speaking her truth, I feel like his response to it has kind of shaken her foundations and reminded her that there is still some healing to do. But she is in this energy of strength as well. And we've also got the star. Her feelings are grounded, they're very strong, and she is hopeful. She is optimistic about the future, and she's not allowing herself to be overwhelmed by doubt or to be dragged back into that shadow aspect where she was previously. She's found her light now. Like we said, and she's grounded herself in that light. It's what I said about this rhinoceros. It's very stable. There's a lot of grounding energy there. And of course, the strength card here, which really represents strength of heart, is represented by a tree, which again is a pillar of strength and very much grounded and rooted in Mother Earth and all of that truth. So it does feel like this divine feminine, she's been knocked out of alignment. She's wobbled a little bit as a result of his reaction to her truth. But I do feel that she's still in this power of strength, that she's able to pull herself back to that place of stillness, to be stood in her power, and that she has got this faith. The fact that it's come through as the angel, it could be that this divine feminine, as I said, it feels like there's been a tremendous amount of spiritual growth and development, is connected to her guides, spiritual guides, angels, ancestors and so forth, and that this is what's supporting her in holding her faith. But she does still feel very strongly and very optimistic about her counterpart and this connection. The masculine knows it's not over, but neither does he want it to change. And I feel like for some of you, this particular masculine's been emotionally avoidant for a long time. Perhaps he's engaged, as friends with benefits, or that even if you have been in a relationship with him, he's being unyielding. He never quite lets his guard down, and there is a resistance to change, but he also knows that it's not over, and there is a desire to persevere here. There is a lot of passion. The Queen of Wands is a very beautiful and creative sexual energy, and Judgment is a very powerful card to turn up here for our masculine in terms of feelings, because whatever it is you've revealed to him, whether he can accept it and integrate it yet or not, it has woken him up. It has been such a powerful revelation, and this revelation cannot be undone. He can't unknow this, so even though there's still resistance here, he is feeling that spiritual and sexual magnetism that exists between you, and he is waking up, or is awake to the truth of this connection. He may not be awake to spirit or to himself, but he's hearing that call. This is someone that now has the awareness of the spiritual nature of this connection. The connecting energy is the 5 of Swords in reverse, and I feel like you two have a history of deep and difficult conflict between you, and it does feel like you've both transcended that now, and that both parties are, really learning to move through the challenging shifts that you experience in your connection without now resorting to that kind of confrontation. So it does feel like both parties are relieved and driven to maintain peace and amiable communication, to not allow it to get to that kind of sharp and cold place that it's previously moved to before. In terms of what's shifting, for our divine feminine, we've got the fruit, or the Queen of Pentacles, and I really feel like this is represented by the pomegranate. And for me, the pomegranate is a very sacred symbol. It represents fertility and abundance and wealth as well. And I do feel like the fruit is a symbol of the harvest you're about to be rewarded with. All of your hard work and effort is suddenly going to bring everything into balance for you. In particular, you're going to see the effect of this emotion in your 3D world. You know, this is like your job or the work you're doing suddenly taking a very positive turn. I do actually see literal abundance flowing to you, money, wealth, good fortune. But this is also about just feeling so stable and so calm, of recognizing your power to nurture and support yourself. The High Priestess in reverse to me is a warning. This is reminding you not to use your gifts for ill-dignified intentions. You know, you were not given the gift of sight and knowing so that you could snoop or so that you could use this information to manipulate and coerce others. And there is a warning here, especially with the dog, to remember that first and foremost, this is about loyalty and devotion to yourself and to spirit, and that you mustn't use your gifts in an ill-dignified way. The awakening here, judgment, which came up for your person, is also represented by the peacock, which is represents the ego or our arrogant or vain natures. And so I do feel that you're going to cycle through a much more high level of awakening, which is going to shine a light on the ego traps that are still keeping you stuck. It feels like for you, really discovering your psychic and spiritual gifts and developing them has given you a tremendous amount of confidence, but you're being asked to be mindful that this is not something that you should be using to show off or to enhance your status in the world. You know, it's about light and light work. And so there's definitely a message here to be mindful of how you're using your gifts. And this specifically refers to any spell work that may try and interfere with another person's free will. Binding spells, love spells, manifesting spells. You can't manifest people, and you can't manifest circumstances which require other people to be included, because that's interfering with a person's free will, and that's what's coming forward for you specifically. But as I said, the light spirit is illuminating where ego is keeping you stuck. It's illuminating those ego traps and drawing your awareness to them so that you can really start to ascend more, to embody more light, and to recognize that your true divinity and self-acceptance is enough. That because our ego is just trying to validate us. So when you do these things, you're just looking for approval, validation, you're just seeking to have your desires and needs met. But all of that is met within you when you really connect with your truth and spiritual light, and you're being asked to recognize that that's enough. For the Divine Masculine, these are very interesting energies for him in terms of what's shifting. He is going to go through a period, I feel, of waiting. And he may get impatient waiting for what he perceives is a solution or resolution to this situation. He still doesn't feel able to connect with or express his truth. So don't be surprised if this masculine doesn't touch upon the spiritual conversations you've had previously. This for him really is a period of balance. And remember, Temperance came up for you reverse. This is about him learning to fill his own cup, learning to dip his toes in the emotional depths and see that path is clearly illuminated for him. He's got one foot on the ground, but more importantly, he's filling his own cup, and he takes flight through acknowledging his own inner child wounding. So this is a really powerful card to come up for what's shifting for your Divine Masculine. He is finding that balance and peace within him. And as we saw here in the beginning, he's certainly giving this new truth a tremendous amount of thought. So even though it may appear that there's little to no action on his side of the fence, you can trust that he is moving in the right direction. But he is impatient. He's not yet aware of, how long this journey of fulfillment really takes, of self-fulfillment. And so, he might not be discussing this with you or expressing his truth anytime soon, because this is a period of rebalancing for him. The connecting energy here is the Four of Cups in reverse. And for me, this is about both parties being a lot less absorbed in their own emotional depths and actually being able to look outside of the box and perceive the other's true intention without conversation. This is an emotional awareness or a claircognizance. This is a kind of it's an acknowledgement of how the other's perhaps feeling, without the need to seek reassurance or confirmation of that from the other. So I do feel like these two are moving into a place of greater balance. They've released conflict, and even though there's some impatience and frustration from this divine masculine, he is awakened now to the truth of this, and that really is having the desired impact of bringing him into balance within this connection. So I'm going to take this over to the extended in a minute, but let me get some guidance cards for you guys first. In the extended, we're going to do a similar kind of spread. We're just going to get a deeper look into the feelings and thoughts. I really want to see what the intentions of both parties are, what's shifting, a deeper view of what's shifting, and of course, a deeper look at the guidance available to you. But let's get some guidance now. So for the Divine Feminine, we've got the Devil. It's called the Siren in this deck. The Divine Masculine, we've got the Five of Wands in reverse. And the connecting energy here is the Ten of Wands in reverse. So Divine Feminine, again, this is devil energy. The Siren, again, it's very similar to that peacock energy or the High Priestess in reverse. This is about recognizing how, you were misguided into these ego-driven behaviors through that unhealthy, anxious attachment that you're still holding on to. Even though you've healed considerably and you've found a greater degree of balance, strength and connection to spirit, you are also in this energy of obsession, of attachment, of trying to get your needs met through ego-driven behaviors. Through being a siren, this might be by being through sexy, tempting him, teasing him, perhaps even playing games with him, because we've got the Five of Wands in reverse here. So there really is a need to be aware of how you're still dabbling in those shadow aspects of self and what still needs to be released. Because I'm hearing that you convince yourself, that this is how relationships are conducted. If he doesn't call me, I'm not going to call him either. I'm going to post pictures of me on social media, engaging with other guys to make him jealous. Or, it's all about trying to pull strings rather than touch the heart space. So there is, there is a warning here to recognize the devil in you, to recognize where you're still loving conditionally, you're still holding expectations that are born of conditional love and not unconditional love, and that this is really rooted in your fear, that your attachment to others to get your needs met. And that's what you need to be healing. And you have all the tools and the skills you need to heal that. You're moving into this period of balance, and this is what needs to be released to allow you to embody that. For the masculine, we've got the Five of Wands in reverse. And for me, this is saying stop playing games. Now is the time to be authentic and true. That should be the goal you're working towards, to recognize your fear of intimacy and fear of authenticity, and to start healing those wounds. So much like this Divine Feminine is in this game playing, I do feel like this Divine Masculine nurtures that energy because it's comfortable for him and it's how he stays in control. So the connecting energy for guidance here is the Ten of Wands in reverse. And this tells me that right now, neither one of you is actually taking responsibility for self and your role within the connection. You're each kind of blaming the other. You're each hoping the other changes and shifts so that it can be better, when your power actually resides in each of you. And that by changing yourselves, that's how you change the connection. So stop worrying about what the other person's doing. Focus on your own growth and your own development. I really hope that was helpful, path through. I'm going to take this over to the extended. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Tap the bell icon and subscribe if you want to get more updates when I post these. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram or Facebook and all that jazz. And I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye.